Hi everybody and welcome back to Borderlines. So today what we thought we'd speak about is tourism in a way. So one of the things that we managed to find out was around about 50% of all people that come on holiday to the UK go to London. And that's where all the money is spent in London. So what we thought we'd actually take a look at is where else could they go? Because there's plenty of other places. And one of the lessons I learned earlier on this year, but actually quite recently, is how reliant a lot of places around the country can actually be on tourism. So as it happened at Halloween, me and my wife took my kids over to the Isle of Wight. Now we go on holiday to the Isle of Wight every single year. Okay, it's the only place they go. Try to get them to go to other places, they refuse point blank. Has to be the Isle of Wight, which is ironic because it's literally only just across the water from where we live. I go down to the beach, I can see the Isle of Wight. Okay, so one of the funny things was when we went to Parkdean, because that's where we went, we thought we'd go down to the old village because we always love going down to the old village. Kids love it, you know, and then going down to the beach. And the irony was the amount of businesses that were closed, not because they'd gone out of business, but because the holiday season had ended, they're just closed for the rest of the year. You know, I know one particular place where you know, they do your cream teas and everything. They're not going to be back open until probably around about mid-March. And this is a place which is award-winning for Hampshire for supplying cream teas and everything. And it's quite ironic. It's a very famous place. So what we thought we'd take a look at is different locations around the UK where they're reliant on tourism and more people should be going to them. So what we thought we'd do first, because it's going to be really easy for me to do it because I go there so often, is the Isle of Wight. Okay, so what we thought is take a look at some of the places that people could be going to. Okay, so if you look at the Isle of Wight, now the Isle of Wight's easy to get to. You know, you can get there from Portsmouth by car ferry, hovercraft and catamaran. You can get there from Southampton by car ferry or cat, and also I think it's Lymington as well. You can get to the Isle of Wight from, unless you've got a boat of your own, of course, or if you're going to fly over there, which you can do as well, over to, I think at the airport's at Sandown. Okay, so that is the other option if you're got a few quid in the bank, let's put it that way. So what is there on the Isle of Wight? Now, if you was to listen to my father-in-law, he'd say, oh no, there's nothing on the Isle of Wight, it's boring. But there is a lot on the Isle of Wight to do. So you have got the Wildheart Animal Sanctuary, which is what used to be known as the Isle of Wight Zoo. You got Monkey Haven, you got the Amazon Zoo as well, which is just outside Sandown if I remember correctly. Okay, you've got the Chines. Okay, now the Chines are beautiful places. You know, if you've got a kid or somebody in a wheelchair, can be a bit awkward getting around them. You know, me personally, I'd advise going at night because, you know, seeing the waterfalls and all the mist and everything is going to be much better in the evening than it is during the day. But if you can't do that, go in the day. It's still a beautiful place to go to. Okay, but be prepared to go up steps in slight hill inclines and everything. Wonderful places. You know, there's one at Shanklin and I know there's one at Sandown as well. Okay, so they're great places. Then you got Tapnell Farm Park, which is a farm at the end of the day, but they've turned it into a bit of an amusement park as well. So there's lots of things, I would say primarily for kids to do, but it's great fun at the end of the day. Okay, and the other big one, what I always like to talk about, and my kids personally love going to, which is Robin Hill. Now, obviously, Robin Hill's gone through a bit of work over recent years, especially due to COVID and everything. There's been a lot of investment going into there. You know, you've got always used to have all the falconry, and there's lots of land there, you know, to go and have a look around. You know, it's like a typical country park at the end of the day. That's the way I always explain it, you know. But it's a fantastic place, and be prepared to walk. So make sure you got your walking shoes on, because potentially with somewhere like Robin Hill, you can be doing a lot of walking. Now, four of the most famous places that are on the Isle of Wight that people tend to go, but I've never been to any of these four. Okay, and there are four places I've been saying to my wife for about 5 years we're going to go and do. Now, the first one is Osborne House, which is one of the most historic and famous places on the Isle of Wight for one reason. So anybody who knows their history is going to know exactly why. Okay, which is Queen Victoria's holiday house on the Isle of Wight. So she used to come down from London down to Gosport, okay, and then get away on a boat over to the Isle of Wight and used to stay at Osborne House, which is run by the National Heritage. You can get deals. Go onto the National Heritage website. You can get reasonable deals if you want to go and visit Osborne House. Second one is the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. Okay, so benefit of the steam railway, it does lead to a falconry. Okay, and there's normally through the year they normally do lots of different things to do with the railway at the end of the day. Now, the other two, which I have never been to, I know my mother's been to one of them, okay, is Carisbrooke Castle, okay, and if you're into your Roman archaeology, which is Bradin Roman Villa, okay, which if you want to get around on the train is perfect because it's not far from Bradin train station, which means you don't have to worry about driving around or on the island or getting all on the buses or anything. You can just get on the train from wherever you are, as long as you're on the east coast of the Isle of Wight, okay, and just get on the train and you then walk from the train station straight to the actual place as it is. Now, the last place I'm going to mention is a place I've been to a couple of times myself. And the only reason I'm going to mention this place is because it's free to go to, which is the Isle of Wight Donkey Sanctuary. So, if you want to go somewhere on the Isle of Wight, and I think it's just outside Ventnor, okay, and you may not have a lot of money, but you want to create a day out for the kids, okay, or maybe it's just you and your partner, however it may be, this is the perfect place. Now, it is a bit out there, and when I say out there, it's basically in the middle of nowhere. There is transport to get there. There is a bus service that does go down there, okay, but you will have a bit of walking involved getting around there. Now, they have loads of donkeys that they've rescued from all over Europe, okay. To get in there, it is absolutely free of charge. You do not have to pay a penny. Admittedly, the food on site is a bit expensive. Okay, if you take into account for what you're actually getting. They do have gift shops. They do ask you to make a donation for visiting there, and they do ask people to sponsor the actual donkeys. And trust me, they got loads of donkeys available to sponsor, with all different names. And I wouldn't be surprised, whoever's watching this video, if they got a donkey named after you. Trust me, they probably have. You know, so this is another one of those places which is a must see, and it's a must to go to. And I personally admit that, and I try to go there every single time we go to the Isle of Wight. And having a look, as it's on my screen at the moment, says they've got over 100 donkeys and ponies, and there are things that you can do whilst you're there. Because I remember we went there a couple of years ago, and I think it was my son and daughter got to brush the coats of the donkeys and actually get in the pen with them and actually give them a stroke and everything. So there are lots of things that you can actually do. Now, taken away from all of that, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of pubs and restaurants and cafes, places where you can go and get cream teas. It is literally plastered with them. So if you don't want to be cooking and you're on the Isle of Wight, there are tons of places, no matter where you are, whether you're over in is it Yarmouth, East or West Cowes, Ryde, Shanklin, Ventnor, Sandown, wherever you are, there are dozens of places to go and eat. So you will not be short of choices. And that's the one thing I can say. So if you want to go somewhere and have a good time and have plenty of places to go to, okay, without really having to worry about is there going to be enough places to go, which can be a problem when you're on mainland in England at the end of the day. Are there lots of places near us? The Isle of Wight is one of them places. There are plenty of places to go and see. Okay, so if you want something slightly different, go to the Isle of Wight. Okay, so obviously I'm going to cut it short now. Okay, obviously if you've enjoyed this video, please do give us a like and share. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you again a bit later.